Hello, MSA Community, and to all the men who have gone through homosexual rape or assault. Today I wanted to touch base on a very important topic because so much of my experience has been that men feel that they're alone in this, that they're really one of very few that they've gone through this, and I want you and everyone to know that this is at a epidemic level. It's not just hundreds of thousands, it's not just millions, it's tens of millions. And when we look at statistical information in different areas, including CDC and other studies that have been done, they say 1 in 4 men in their lifetime will be victimized by sexual assault. And if we even take a percentage, a conservative percentage of that, we could look at it and say that in the United States alone, that would put it about 25 million men in the United States alone. And that's out of an estimate of 169 million men that exist in the country. So I think it's a very conservative number. And it should be understood that within the world that you live in, whether it's your fathers, your cousins, your nephews, your brothers, there are men around you, your friends, who have gone through this that you have never heard them talk about it, nor would they maybe ever speak of it, but they exist around you. You are not alone. Statistics have shown, there's studies that have shown that 16.5% of young men under the age of 18 have gone through some sort of sexual assault. And again, if we take a small percentage of these, it still adds up into the millions. And so it's very important to understand that this is a widespread problem, that the problem is only getting worse, that the lack of people's acknowledgement of it or even willingness to acknowledge it is creating even more of a problem, let alone the next month that we're going to go into, which advocates for policies that put men and young men into harm's way. And we'll go over that in another topic. We'll discuss that. But it's really important for you to understand that you don't hear about it, obviously, because most men don't want to talk about it, or they can't comprehend it. They can't bring it. They go into repression. And in order to acknowledge what happened could be so psychologically devastating that your mind just won't allow it. And so we have probably even a wider spread problem than what is being reported out there because of that, because there's a lot of drugging. And when you get drugged, and one of the farthest things from your mind is to think that this is what happened to you. So you're going to put it into other realms, different things going on. You're going to think that you just slept strangely, all these other things, anything but acknowledging that you might have been homosexually raped. And then we have the whole repression aspects of it, where again, the pain and suffering, the psychological damage, it's devastating. And I think the body and the mind has some mechanisms in place that would preclude that from happening. And again, you have even younger men, because the average age of a homosexual assault is going to be at 9.5 years old. And so when we have these young men who don't even understand sexuality to begin with, and then they have this put upon them, they have a physiological reaction quite often that is one that stimulates them into more of a pleasurable area. And so they don't interpret it as some kind of an assault or sexual abuse. They get it misinterpreted and don't understand it and can't comprehend it at such a young age. And so we have a whole level of men who are not reporting it because of these circumstances. And my own experiences with discussing this topic has men that I know coming forward and telling me, oh, I've had this happen to them, I've had that happen to them, where they've never said it before, ever. So there is a lot of this abuse going on. And again, we have the problem of people trivializing it, minimizing it, and marginalizing it. The devastation that this causes is very unspeakable for the most part. You know, everybody handles it differently. Everybody has gone through it in different ways, but it is abundant, and I want you to know that you don't stand alone out there. And something else I want to make clear is that I've heard people talk about shame in this, and it's not shame. I don't believe it's shame that you're feeling, or it's not shame that I'm feeling. It's betrayal. It's betrayal. Betrayal of people you trusted, betrayal of society, betrayal of you know, just the natural law that you have out there. And so that's more what it is, because when you have this occur to you, then you feel vulnerable to it, because a lot of times you can't fathom the depth of what it has done to you. You can't fathom that it could be so prevalent out there in society. You also think of, if somebody could do this kind of harm to me, how much more could be done that I am unaware of in the world. And so it is a betrayal, and that feeling that you have comes from that. It comes from the fact that you feel vulnerable to the fact of what has been put upon you, and then what else could be put upon you. But don't ever let somebody call it shame, because the society should be ashamed. Other people should be ashamed for the lack of action in making anything change about this. So one of the things I wanted to tell you, especially in this coming month, which is very difficult for me, and I know millions of others, because of the advocacy that's going on, because of the harm's way, the harmful ideology, and the harmful direction it goes into putting, again, young men in harm's way of this happening more and more, and it is exponentially getting worse. But I'm just letting you know that I'm going to do everything I can to work to bring this suffering to light, to bring the issues to light, to make it understood that there are changes that need to be made so this doesn't happen. Because the understanding is this: not one more, not one more, not one more. That's the goal, not one more, ever. And so I'm going to do my part to make sure I'm out here and trying to make a change. Also, for those who are listening to this and maybe have not gone through this, and hopefully you never will, but just keep in mind that inaction, I would have to say, the soul you save may be your own.